What's up guys, welcome to Voldorakun. From our previous episode, we have witnessed the origin of dragons based on Milim's explanation. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, I will put the link in the description below. Just a quick warning, these videos contain spoilers from the light novel. Also, don't forget to join our Discord community, Voldorakun Subordinates. The link is in the description box. So now in this video we will review what happened next, which is the sorting of monsters inside the labyrinth. But before we will proceed, please like, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Now without further ado, let's proceed with the video. A few days had passed since the day when Milim suddenly showed up and left. The traps for the floors have already been set, and the only thing left to do was wait for Milim to come back with those dragons. Rimuru thanked Ramra's subordinates. Beretta-san, Trainee-san, you guys did a hell of a job. And Beretta responds, there's no such thing, this is all for you Anflady Ramras. Where Trainee added, exactly. It is a joy to work for the sake of Ramras-sama. Beretta was acting very humble as usual in his response. Ramras herself was sitting on Trainee's shoulder, and Trainee looked ready to carry out nearly any order she gave her. Beretta said, by the way, Rimuru-sama, these things have been left with me for a while. After saying so, Beretta displayed some unique grade weapons and gear. Rimuru is surprised and Beretta added, these were liberated from a certain magic doll subordinate of Clayman. I was unable to give them to you earlier, but I thought they will be quite suitable to be put in the treasure chests. Rimuru recalls that greatest masterpiece of Clayman called Piora. Piora was strapped with weapons all over its body, and Beretta stripped all the weapons from it. Beretta had offered them to Rimuru previously, which he refused. Since by that time, Beretta's demand was for them to live in Tempest. Rimuru asked, didn't you offer them as gifts to Ramras? To which Ramras reacted, haha, there's no way I could use it right, and I don't really care about it anyway. They are indeed very strong weapons, but they can't be modified too much. So I talked to Beretta to see if we could make better use of it. Is this really okay? Because it'd be worth a lot if you sold it. And Ramras responds, it's okay, it's fine. Because I have a job to do now too. And I'm gonna make a ton of money before long, so why be so petty now? Besides, we finally have somewhere to live. In this way Ramras offered the weapons and gear to Rimuru, to which Rimuru is grateful and decided to put them to work for him. Now they check the progress of the labyrinth and now time to put up the treasure chest. The initial levels were designed like a demo, so beginners could proceed without too much hassle. Though the area was very large and it would easily cause people to get lost. With the halls being wide, investigating it would be hard work and only to be rewarded with nothing. It wouldn't attract any customers, but with all the weak monsters prowling around, there'd be enough excitement for everyone. People could get magic ore from these monsters and practical items from their corpses. It would make it worth novice adventurers' time. Rimuru intended to buy the loot from those adventurers. There wasn't a Freedom Association branch in this town, so the nearest one would be Blumen's. Which would be too tiring for adventurers to reach, so he figured that their nation could accept their loot for discount prices and pocketing the difference to cover expenses. It seemed like a pretty good idea. Rimuru wants to talk the idea with Yuki to ask him the favor of building a Freedom Association branch in their nation. Maybe, but until that came up, they would kind of function as them with this labyrinth. This was the basic scheme of things up to floor 5, they are only making the labyrinth slightly more complex without any major changes. Floor 6, though, is where things got tough. All sorts of traps would be lying in wait. And up until underground level 9 there may be vicious traps, but nobody would die from them. If these were skillful adventurers, they shouldn't suffer too much. If they make things too hard too fast, it would discourage returning customers, and that was out of the question. That's why the first 9 levels were designed to be more beginner-friendly. That all changed with floor 10. That floor had a slightly stronger monster placed in the room. In other words, this was a boss-level room. Defeat it, and a door would open to the floors below. Ramras asked, Rimuru, what type of monster will you be deploying there? And Rimuru responds, about that, I'll decide depending on what type of monsters are born, but we haven't seen any so far, have we? Up until level 10 underground, they haven't seen a single trace of a monster. Veldora released his aura a week and a half ago, but it still hadn't resulted in any baddies. To which Wisdom King Raphael talks, answer. Even with his aura hidden, monsters can still detect the presence of the subject Veldora. Deducing that no monster dares to approach him. Rimuru voiced out the analyzation. Veldora's release of Magicules seems to have helped spawn some monsters, but they can still pick up on his presence. They're too scared to go near him. And Veldora exclaimed, "What? So that's why?" It's no wonder that none of the monsters in the sealed cave showed up. For the case of weaker monsters, they couldn't really endure the aura either, so that was probably the main reason. Rimuru said, "Well, I'll figure something out. One way or another, I estimate to put at least a rank B monster that is slightly strong on level 10. And Ramrus responds, "All right. But if there isn't any intelligent fellow, we shouldn't add it to my servants. But if you find the right monster, bring it in here and put this collar on it." Rimuru accepted the collar. This collar would let the wearer be resurrected infinite amount of times, even if they hadn't forged a formal pact with Ramrus. Then there would be no need to find replacements once they were defeated. How useful. Rimuru is amazed with how convenient this stuff is, and Ramrus proudly said, "Right? Anyhow, in this labyrinth, reality can be whatever I want." For Rimuru, Ramrus' skill is truly versatile as she could also change the ability given on each item. He once more lamented his inability to recreate her skill. That took care of the boss issue. Level 10 would only have the boss room, making it perfectly safe after the battle was over. After this level, there would be a save point and the stairs leading to the lower levels, just these two. And let's not forget about the treasure chest. And following level 20, there would even be fake treasure chests. It was not entirely a bad thing. With abundant magicules all over the labyrinth, the swords and lances found inside could start to get a bit magical themselves. They also wouldn't die, as long as they had a revival bracelet. Rimuru couldn't wait to see how the adventurers would react to all this. Rimuru asked, "What should we do next? Should we set up someplace on this floor to buy back the items obtained by people from the monsters, or put it in storage for safekeeping?" And Ramrus commented, "Oh. Do we really need that? Because, if we have that type of facility, Return Whistle will not sell well." Rimuru got the point of Ramrus, and so he replies, "True. Not much point putting ones up in floors with save points. Should we perhaps pick the middle ones to make levels ending in 5B safe zones?" To which Ramrus agrees, "Oh, that could work. They could make them available for storing items looted by adventurers and sell healing potions at marked up prices, and building a meal area as well. Return Whistle was an item for emergency usage, so it would be fine to sell it at a higher price." Rimuru decided to reconsider that once this labyrinth made its debut on the festival. They later have finished confirming level 100, and the result was satisfying. The labyrinth slowly approached completion and ventured far beyond mere viciousness. Wisdom King Raphael said, "Based on the strength of average adventurers, labyrinths set with low-level monsters already poses sizable difficulty. Adding crafty traps and a legion of upper-level monsters, the term vicious seems rather tepid a description." Now, Rimuru decided to pick the bosses among the spawned monster. But suddenly realized that the labyrinth was now full of monsters. Tons of them. Rimuru shouts, "What in the world?" Yet it was too late. He went through a very hard time trying to adjust the difficulty, but this happened. No worries, it's important to leave little mistakes like this behind you. Rimuru decided to leave the rest to be handled by Veldora and Ramrus, who are fully motivated. Milim was kind enough to fetch those dragons she offered to bring in, and we released them on the appropriate floors, adjusting the atmospheric magicule count as needed. There were also the automatically spawned monsters, who likely due to the deployment of dragons, were no longer so concentrated. They still only had their bosses worked out down to floor 30, but that would do for now. The Colosseum up top was still under construction, but the framework was getting completed at speeds he couldn't believe. It should be able to catch up to the founding festival after the snow melts. Rimuru intended to make it their main attraction in the future to capitalize, as long as he hoped. There were still a lot of ideas left to implement, but for now, this was fine. They all wore an evil grin and looked at each other in agreement. With that, the preparation work for the labyrinth was concluded for now. Before long, their town started to see some new faces. The snow was beginning to melt, and the visitors from all over the Jura Great Forests were arriving one by one to our nation. The Nation Founding Festival is near. And that's it for my video. Thank you so much. See you on my next upload.